It's not about black and white. It's about that white player and that black player. Why? Because of the history that they had before they came to the WNBA. You see, it was all instigated. If Angel Reese was never in Caitlin Clark's face, taunting her the way that she did when they mimicking what Caitlin Clark was doing to numerous opponents en route to the Final Four. And then Angel Reese and LSU bust their living you-know-what at that particular moment in time. And Angel Reese was in her face chirping at her the way that she did. It would have never gotten to this point. But
the air was already charged. Every matchup between Caitlin Clark and Angel Reese felt less like a game and more like a main event, carrying the weight of their previous collisions. Their rivalry, birthed in the intense glare of the 2023 NCAA championship, had transcended sport, becoming a cultural flashpoint. Yet, the WNBA was perhaps unprepared for how quickly and how dramatically a single moment could reignite that firestorm and consume the entire conversation. It started with a seemingly simple basketball play, a foul called on Clark. But when Angel Reese reacted from the bench, clapping and gesturing, it wasn't just a reaction. It was a spark. The online world ignited. Was this just competitive fire? Was it something deeper, darker? As the controversy swirled, quickly devolving into heated debates about race, double standards, and the very soul of women's basketball, one voice known for its volume and intensity stepped forward. Stephen A. Smith was about to unleash a commentary that would shake ESPN to its core.
Unfortunately, it comes with the crown.
I got to push back on you a little bit.
Okay.
I think you're being a little bit too PC. Let's call it what it is. I am not trying to say that she should be criticized or she is wrong. What I'm saying is by pulling it down, clearly you felt there was something wrong with it. Now, yes, you are 22. Yes, you are young. And there's a lot of things that we didn't want people to know about when we were her age. Fair enough, especially me, okay? Because I'm 30 plus years removed from that age. I got that part. There was no social media then or whatever. But here's my point to you. She knows this social media. She is not dumb. She's quite a brilliant young lady. Nor am I going to take my eyes off of what transpires with the WNBA over the next 2 weeks while Caitlin Clark is out with the quad strain. And the reason why is because, let me tell you something right now. I'm not going to go to word hate. I'm not going to be out there like RG3 was saying that Angel Reese hates Caitlin Clark or other players hate Caitlin Clark. But I will say this. I don't think it's specific about Caitlin Clark. I think it's what Caitlin Clark represents.
The play itself was instantly dissected frame by frame. Chicago Sky player Chennedy Carter was whistled for a foul on Caitlin Clark. But the real drama unfolded on the sideline. Angel Reese, sitting on the bench, was caught on camera reacting with visible emotion, clapping emphatically. In the hypersensitive, rivalry-obsessed landscape of social media, this reaction wasn't seen in isolation. Paired with Carter's cryptic and later deleted posts online, it fueled immediate outrage and speculation. Was Clark being targeted? Was this a personal vendetta playing out on the court? The moment felt less like a standard foul and more like a deliberate provocation, amplified by the history everybody knew was there.
This was a basketball play. You understand? It was the heat of the moment. I got it. The fact that the Sky was getting romped by 35 certainly didn't help matters. I get all of that too, okay? But the reality of the situation is clear. I think it was a basketball play. I don't think it's much ado about anything. I think both of you are 100% correct in terms of not only attributing it to competition, but loving the fact that they're being allowed to compete. We should not judge when...
And that's when Stephen A. Smith arrived. Not with a commentary, but with a detonation. He didn't just offer his take, he unleashed what felt like a verbal nuke on live television. ESPN might have needed hazard pay just for the fallout. This wasn't your typical sports debate. It was a fiery, unyielding monologue that sliced through the noise with surgical precision. He wasn't just criticizing, he was dismantling perceived double standards, exposing what he saw as media bias, and tearing down performative outrage piece by piece. The energy in the studio wasn't just hot, it felt like the commentary desk itself was melting under the sheer force of his conviction. "Buckle up," he seemed to say, because this wasn't just a response, it was a televised reckoning.
Caitlin Clark to one of the footages they show was Angel Reese getting up and clapping and stuff like that. They keep their eyes on stuff like this. Here's where I'm going where the rivalry kicks in. Angel Reese, the reason why, obviously, the whole Caitlin Clark Angel Reese thing happened was because when they met in the NCAA tournament in 2023, when Angel Reese was doing all of this, because Caitlin Clark had been doing that to her opponents when she got the best of them. So Angel Reese and LSU got the best of her, and that's what she did, unapologetically, okay?
The cornerstone of Stephen A's argument was stark and unwavering. This drama wasn't just about abstract concepts of black and white. It was intensely personal, specifically about that white player, Caitlin Clark, and that black player, Angel Reese. The key, he insisted, lay not in some broad societal racial divide manifesting randomly, but in the specific, undeniable history these two athletes shared long before they ever set foot in the WNBA. He hammered the point home. The controversy's roots were planted in their prior encounters, particularly the explosive ending of the 2023 NCAA championship game.
She balled at Iowa in college. She's balled since she's been in the NBA. She came into the league last year with no break whatsoever between the college game and the pro game and did her thing. Ended up as an all-star, ended up being fourth in the league in MVP voting, was the clear winner for Rookie of the Year. No competition whatsoever in that regard when it was really all said and done. We know what she brings to the table.
He pinpointed the origin of the current firestorm directly to that 2023 moment. Stephen A. argued that if Angel Reese had never stood over Caitlin Clark on that court, taunting her, mimicking the very celebration Clark had used against numerous opponents en route to the Final Four, things would never have escalated to this level. He vividly recalled how Angel Reese and LSU had busted living you-know-what at that moment, and Reese was in her face, chirping at her the way that she did. That unapologetic, in-your-face celebration, in his view, was the inciting incident, the original transgression that created the intense personal animosity and the fertile ground for the current controversies to sprout. Without that, the subsequent reactions and the resulting media frenzy would have simply not happened this way.
Jackie Robinson of the WNBA will be Caitlin Clark. If she stays healthy, there's a group of them that would hope for her to be out. But
why do you say she's going to be the Jackie Robinson of the WNBA?
Well,
it's not like she's the first white girl.
She's not the first white girl, but she's the first white superstar at the levels where she's scoring these, the threes she's shooting. She's like a Steph Curry. She's the first actual superstar that people care. When's the last time we watched like college basketball? If I told you, tell me the greatest college basketball female basketball players last 30 years, and you watch I know her. She's our meat, but you look at some of these names, you see some of these people on how they do.
Stephen A. didn't stop at the on-court history. He dragged the conversation into the digital age, specifically addressing Angel Reese's action of deleting her post-game commentary about the foul incident. While acknowledging her youth, she's 22, he noted, and there are plenty of things people her age and older would rather keep private. He wasn't willing to let her off the hook entirely. By pulling down her comments, he argued, she clearly felt there was something wrong with it. He insisted he wasn't necessarily calling her wrong or demanding criticism, but merely pointing out that the act of deletion itself was telling. It indicated an awareness, a possible regret, or at least a recognition that her initial reaction or words weren't sitting right. He highlighted that unlike his own youth decades ago, this generation navigates the constant, unforgiving glare of social media, and Angel Reese, whom he acknowledged as a brilliant young lady, is certainly not dumb to that reality.
I actually feel bad for Angel Reese at this point, and it has nothing to do with like how she's handled herself or anything. It's just simply Caitlin Clark is so much better than Angel Reese at basketball that it doesn't feel fair.
Yeah, I think Angel Reese is struggling with the fact that Caitlin Clark is better at her best thing than she is.
She's better at everything.
And
she had a triple-double. She's tied for the third most triple-doubles in WNBA history, and she's played 50 games.
Yeah.
She's just better.
By the time he finished, Stephen A. had held up a mirror to the entire sports world, forcing everyone, fans, media, players.
He then broadened his perspective, suggesting the intense reaction surrounding Clark wasn't always about hating her specifically as a person. Instead, he argued, it was often about what Caitlin Clark represents. She arrived as an unprecedented phenomenon, instantly commanding attention, endorsements, and a level of fame the league hadn't seen. For players who had toiled for years, fighting for every bit of recognition and compensation, this sudden, seemingly effortless ascent by a rookie felt jarring. Stephen A. steered clear of the word hate in some instances, contrasting with others like RG3, but he underscored that Clark's sudden elevation triggered complex emotions in the established league hierarchy, feelings perhaps rooted in perceived fairness and the distribution of the spotlight.
Can we just call a spade? Racism has been impacting the WNBA well before this year. This is not a new thing. Sure. This is, in that way, I do think Caitlyn's being used as a pawn. Caitlyn didn't bring racism to the WNBA. This has been happening. And that, I think, is what's been such a shock for all of us, that other people are surprised by this. We've been trying to tell you. And once again, for so long, as a player, I would almost joke. I'd be like, I would have loved to have shut up and dribble.
And the best part, Stephen A. didn't even raise his voice.
From there, Stephen A. launched into a full-blown critique of the surrounding circus. He argued that the focus on this kind of drama was a distraction from the actual sport. He saw double standards everywhere, particularly in how different players' actions or public personas were scrutinized. He railed against performative outrage and the media's role in fanning the flames, suggesting some players and commentators were more interested in generating social media clout and engaging in hashtag activism than discussing basketball. He felt stats and context were often forgotten in the rush to judgment. He was like a verbal bloodhound, catching the scent of contradiction and pursuing it relentlessly, using facts, fire, and a flamethrower made of pure logic to illuminate what he saw as the problems plaguing the narrative around the league.
Angel Reese is obviously and clearly taking too much heat because I believe a lot of people are using this situation as a cover for their innate vitriol and maybe their innate kind of racism or racial tension or racial misunderstanding. And now that they have been given a reason, at least the reason that they're going to try to take, which is Angel Reese reacting to Caitlin Clark's foul, now this is their opportunity to say what they always wanted to say, but they needed a mask put on to cover up the innate, whether it's racism or the innate prejudice or just the innate hate that they have for Angel Reese and the way in which she carries herself. That's my issue with all of this.
Amidst the controversy and perceived resentment, there was an undeniable, quantifiable reality. Caitlin Clark's impact on the WNBA was seismic. As the transcript pointed out, she averaged over 20 points per game, drawing thousands of new viewers and commanding headlines that represented an unprecedented boon for a league desperately begging the world to care. This wasn't abstract fame, it was tangible attendance records, soaring viewership numbers, and real money flowing into the league coffers. She didn't just show up to play, she arrived to awaken every dormant ego within a 20-mile radius, forcing a league often overlooked onto center stage. Her presence felt like a market correction the WNBA had longed for, suddenly delivered with Steph Curry's shooting range and Midwestern humility.
First of all, the WNBA has been increasing in revenue way before Caitlin Clark was even thought of. Also, there have been a lot of women in this industry and in the WNBA specifically who have been fighting and advocating for changes in the league way before Caitlin Clark even stepped foot in it. Yes, jealousy is a natural reaction and it's a natural emotion and it exists whether people want to own up to it or not. And are there people across both male and female who may have animosity towards Caitlin Clark for the attention and the awareness and the pedestal that she has been put on? Sure. To lump all women together just further perpetuates this narrative that women are unable to be happy for other women. And as a woman, I find that insulting because one thing
Yet, as the transcript highlighted with potent frustration, the reaction from some veteran WNBA players had been less, "Welcome to the league, let's grow together," and more, "Who does this girl think she is?" It was portrayed as Mean Girls locker room drama, with Clark as the new transfer student everyone suddenly resents because her hustle outshines theirs and she doesn't need a ring light to shine. This perceived resentment wasn't just dismissed as petty, the transcript delved deeper, suggesting it was perhaps rooted in internalized racism in full effect, envy, why her and not me, and a resistance to the unprecedented attention a rookie, particularly a white rookie, was receiving so quickly. Legends like Swoops, Leslie, and Catchings built the league fighting for scraps. And while Clark didn't erase their legacy, she rapidly expanded it, adding a marble kitchen and a media room. The reaction for some felt like jealousy disguised, a sideways culture instead of celebration.
Caitlin, when your head coach came out with a statement today saying she denounces all the racism that some people have felt in this league, players, trolls online, all those things, as one of the biggest stars in this league, what are your thoughts on the things not only your teammates have to endure, but just the entire league? And obviously, you spoke on this before, but just now with your coach and your GM are talking about it as well.
Yeah, it's definitely upsetting. I don't think nobody in our league should be facing any sort of racism, hurtful, disrespectful, hateful comments and threats. Those aren't fans, those are trolls, and it's a real disservice to the people in our league, the organization, the WNBA. But there are a lot of really good fans, whether they've been fans for 20 plus years or whether they're new fans in our league.
Stephen A's perspective, and that amplified in the transcript, was that this focus on personal drama and perceived slights was a colossal missed opportunity. While Angel Reese might have been taking too much heat from trolls using the situation to cloak their innate vitriol, or maybe their innate kind of racism, or racial tension, or racial misunderstanding, the larger issue was the league's failure to fully capitalize on the moment. Instead of embracing Clark as the golden goose, the prize who brought the much-desired attention, some reactions, both from players and fans, were feeding a narrative of division and resentment. The argument was clear. Caitlin Clark's success wasn't the problem. It was the solution to many of the WNBA's historical challenges, offering a path to better pay, private travel, and mainstream recognition that had been hard-fought and elusive for decades.
Angel Reese was drafted number 8 in the same draft as Caitlin Clark, who was number 1. You don't think Angel Reese thought she should have been number 1 in the draft?
Oh, definitely.
That's something to be jealous of right there.
Oh, okay.
Let's be clear. That's not a bad thing. Steph Curry was drafted number 8 or number 7 in the draft.
Yeah.
That Blake Griffin was drafted number 1.
Oh, yeah.
Blake Griffin won Rookie of the Year, Slam Dunk Contest, everything. Curry just stayed in his bag, and then eventually his time came, and now he's the greatest from his class. Yeah. So it could be that. It could also be, it could just be, I hate that the crowd likes you. It could be, I hate that they love you and they don't love me. It's so many reasons, but it's real. That's what I want people to know. It is real.
The transcript's frustration with the situation was palpable, particularly the idea that this was a uniquely female dynamic. It railed against the trope of women being unable to be happy for other women. The question was posed, who are these girls hating on Caitlin Clark? Are you just combing through Twitter? What else are these women supposed to do? Fawn over her, fangirl over her, bend the knee, kiss the R? The point wasn't that players had to worship Clark, but that the pervasive narrative of universal hatred felt both exaggerated and counterproductive. While jealousy is a natural emotion, weaponizing it or allowing it to dictate public behavior and league narrative was seen as self-defeating. The pettiness was almost on display, detracting from the very authenticity fans supposedly crave.
This is only women that get this. I'm tired of it. Like, here's my thing, you guys. What else? Who are these girls? Who are these girls that are hating on Caitlin Clark? Are you just combing through Twitter? What else are these women supposed to do? Fawn over her? Fangirl over her? Bend the fucking knee? Kiss the ring? Like, what do you want from them? We cannot, every time the girl plays a game, she got 40 games, guys. She got 35 more games. We are not, every single game, gonna revisit and retread this same tired-ass rhetoric that all these girls are hating on her, and they need to be thankful they have been.
Ultimately, the core message from Stephen A's impassioned plea and the transcript's amplified perspective was this. Caitlin Clark symbolizes a potential future for the WNBA, a future of increased revenue, better player conditions, like those coveted private jets, and genuine mainstream prominence. But achieving that future requires the league, its players, and its fans to stop treating her unprecedented impact like a threat. She's not the problem. She's the prize, the catalyst who arrived with the very attention the league had been begging for. The drama and perceived resentment, whether rooted in genuine historical tension, cultural misunderstandings, or simple envy, distract from the massive opportunity. Until that shift in perspective happens, until the league fully embraces the visibility Clark brings as a collective win, she'll continue to live rent-free, dominating conversations and headlines, while the WNBA risks stumbling instead of sprinting towards the future she's helped illuminate. The potential for growth is immense, but it requires unity, strategic thinking, and a willingness to celebrate the attention regardless of who brings it. Otherwise, the cycle of controversy and missed opportunities will likely continue.